PLD Projects presents Holy Snokes, a Star Wars podcast featuring PLD and Matty Gunner. May the Force be with you, always. Greetings and salutations, my friends. Welcome to Holy Snokes, a Star Wars podcast, and our breakdown of Andor Season 2, Episodes 4 through 6, the second trilogy of 4 that we are getting. With me, as always, my friend, my co-host, my co-compadre, my life daemon, Matty Gunner. How you doing, my friend?
You what? What was that last one?
Life day mate. I don't know.
Oh. you kind of like brushed through it. I was like, what did you just call me? What did you just call me?
I called you a son.
I'm all right. How are you?
Not bad. Life is busy, and Tony Gilroy said it was going to be tough covering this for podcast, and it a little bit is because it's packing a lot of stuff in a short amount of time. But as always, we're making things work. I had some great Star Wars adventure last weekend. I did get to go see Revenge of the Sith in the theaters again for the first time in probably 20 years. I don't think I've seen it since the first run in the theaters, and man, it's still, I can confirm, it's still a banger. Absolutely still a banger. Like I wasn't shocked for that, but what was interesting to me is, holy crap, sold out theater. I haven't seen a sold out theater in I don't know how long.
Same way we were at the BFI IMAX. It was absolutely rammed.
I even go not on like peak times, and I was still like surprised. I just was like, holy. I mean, I don't know if it's the like state of the world. I don't know if it's like the state of cinema. I don't know what it says about anything, or if this is just that damn good. But it's amazing how this has definitely aged well, according to the fandom, for sure.
I mean, Star Wars is dead, right?
Right.
Franchise. Like,
right, absolutely.
It died when Disney bought it.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, they're going to say Lucas is no longer, or that this is not Disney Star Wars, so that's what they're saying. That's the twist they're going to put on it. There's always a twist. There's always a twist in the end, to quote Doctor Who. But twist or not, $42 million worldwide for a 20-year-old movie, and if it wasn't for like the absolute like phenomenon that is Sinners and like how that is going as far as
I haven't seen Sinners yet, but literally everyone I know is saying, go see that fucking movie.
Oh, absolutely. You would definitely love it. I mean, I loved it. But like, not only that, it's a phenomenon. Not even just how good it is, but like how it had what was it? Something like a 6% drop between like the first and second. That's like unheard of. Usually films get like 40 to 50% drop like they're between the first and second weekend. 6% drop.
Isn't it like Ryan Coogler's first non-franchise film too? Like it's his first original one because he's got Creed.
Fruitvale Station was before that.
Okay.
His debut was Fruitvale Station, but then he kind of did do a run of franchise with Creed,
Black Panther, and then Creed,
and so I mean that's definitely.
So this is like his second original
IP, absolutely. Yeah, I believe so. As far as like feature films go, absolutely. And now he's gonna go reboot the X-Files, which I find fascinating.
Wait, what?
He's rebooting the X-Files. Yeah. That's fascinating to me. I mean,
I never actually watched the X-Files, so
I
might watch the reboot.
That'd be an interesting idea to try that without knowing what's going on. I was kind of curious about that. I mean, I know, like, it's fine. Coogler is definitely a phenomenal filmmaker. He deserves all of his laurels. People are starting to talk about him in the that kind of rarefied air of like a Nolan or something like that, like an auteur like that. And I'm not sure he's quite there yet myself personally, but definitely he's up there with Jordan Peele and with people of that ilk that you hear that name, like, this is somebody who knows what he's doing. Even if I wasn't, like, I'm not the hugest fan of the Black Panther movies. Like, I think everybody absolutely loves them, and I know it has an absolute impact on the world as a whole. So I can't deny that. Just didn't hit as well for me. But I tell you, Creed hit for me, Sinners hit for me. These are phenomenal films, and he's definitely phenomenal talent. But
it's like Nolan, right? It's a similar run to Nolan. Nolan had like Memento and like a few of his like other ones. Then he got Batman, and then it was like, holy shit! And now he's doing like massive period pieces like Oppenheimer and Odyssey.
Yep, absolutely. But bringing it back to Star Wars, it's like that's the only thing, honestly, that kept this out of the top spot. A 20-year-old movie basically would have been the king of the box office. Did beat out The Accountant 2 domestically by a little bit. I think it was like 20.
I'm going to change that this weekend. I'm about to change that this weekend.
You're going to see it that many times?
Yeah.
We'll see how next week goes. I did see The Accountant 2. Obviously, we're covering that on our Class Action podcast soon. Accountant vs. Accountant 2. Love The Accountant 2. I enjoy it quite a bit, but a totally different style of movie. So it's going to be interesting comparing them for sure. Of course, we're gearing up for the end of the Mission Impossible franchise, or as it were, the stated end. I mean, you never know. This is the final reckoning. So
it ain't. It won't.
You can say that all you want, but
give Tom 5 years, and he'll be itching to jump out of something. We want to jump out of a plane. Yeah, you want to jump out of a plane. He'll want to jump like deep into. I mean, from the looks of Final Reckoning, he's about to go like deep diving in the Arctic Circle. Fucking maniac.
As always, he is always. We're gearing up for that too. We have a special announcement we're going to have. I'm not going to announce it yet. For Class Action involved Mission Impossible.
Oh, do we have it? I'm just gonna tease it now. I'm not gonna announce it. I'm gonna tease it. It might be the best episode that we're ever gonna do.
I am pretty proud of this pitch I had. So we'll see how it works out. I think we have to tweak a few things, but
it's rare that the three of us have a unanimous fuck yes.
Yeah,
like straight off the bat that we're like yes.
That's a Class Action. If you don't know, it's our one of the other podcasts to do in the channel. It's a monthly thing now. Me, Matty, Richard, Eric Jarvie taking up movies, films, directors, actors, putting up against each other in a one-on-one battle, usually with custom-made categories, and determine which one wins. It's a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun debates, and it's had some great moments in the podcast where Matty has made me very angry. You never know. Jarvie actually made me angry at Mission Impossible when we did at one point, because that was.
I can't wait to revisit that.
We might have to revisit that at some point, for sure. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. You're here to talk about Star Wars. That's what we do here weekly on our show here. We do our news, and we do have our meat of the show today, which is obviously Andor Season 2, episodes 4 through 6. We're going to break those down. We're going to start with that, and then at the end, I do have a little bit of a time crunch today, just being all out there in the open and transparent. So I want to get as much news as I can after that, but the important thing is getting Andor in. So why don't we just go ahead, start right away. Andor 2, 4 through 6. What a banger. Again, I'm going to say that right off the top. Tony Gilroy, that Tony Gilroy boy knows what he's doing. Written by Beau Willimon, who, of course, we know is also co-writing the James Mangold Dawn of the Jedi script. So we know that's in good hands because James Mangold is a good writer, and Beau Willimon has now proven twice through in Andor that he is a good writer, and actually he knows Star Wars as well, for sure. Very excited about that. But let's get into this week's episodes, our arc, as it were. Usually we cover these things like one at a time, and we go through segment by segment, and that's how we're going to do it. But because of the nature of the release schedule and the nature of how these arcs are going, we're just going to basically have our segments, but they're going to cover all 3 episodes at once. It might mean we have a little bit more to say per segment, because that's we definitely don't want to miss out on anything. But that's how we're going to do it, and we'll of course go through the end, wrap up anything else we've missed, and give our ratings and our Force Vision thoughts about the future. But first off, let's get the first one out of the way. We usually do Hondo Watch, the spirit, the patron saint of Holy Snokes. This is where we determine, did Hondo Ohnaka finally make his return to grace our screens in Star Wars in some way? We have definitely taken a hiatus on that for Andor, because we wanted to celebrate another Glub Shido that we really appreciate. I don't know if it's technically a Glub Shido or not. He had enough of a role. I don't know if he counts.
I'd say he's a Glub. He's a Glub Shido. All
right, close enough. If Hondo's the patron saint, this guy's like one of the apostles. Linus Mosk from Andor Season 1. We want to see him in Season 2. I don't know about you at this point. I'm not feeling hopeful about it, but I am, and I can say for certain that he did not make an appearance in these 3 episodes, unless you count a Brian Ward Photoshop meme.
Brian Ward, I haven't seen this, and I'm usually pretty up to date on Brian Ward's memes because he's the best Star Wars meme maker out there. I thought we were going to get him at one point. There was a scene. There's the scene where like Cyril is walking to his apartment. It's the scene where he sees that the string has been cut.
Yes.
And there's a driver in the background that's like the shadow looks like he's wearing a Morlana security outfit.
Oh,
I thought, like, for a split second, I thought, holy shit, have they sent Mosk?
I was trying to will it to existence. What I thought was like when we kind of had this. We'll talk about it as we go on. The whole Cyril arc was kind of masterfully done, but the audience didn't quite know what was going on with it, and it was a nice little draw in. Like we didn't know where where he was going. It was laid out differently. It was like it could have been a couple different avenues he was going down, and like because part of that is who are you trusting? Who is Cyril trusting at this point? I thought in the back of my head, who could Cyril really trust? Maybe he brought in the one and only Lance Mosca to be underneath him at the standard of bureaus on Corbin. But alas, not this week. We'll see about next week. I don't know with what's coming up. I don't know if I want him in the episodes. That means he'd be in definite danger, I think, for sure. I mean, he survived Rick's Road in the end of Andor season 1. I don't want to put him into a lot of
he's probably still
situations
there.
Again. He could be. He probably still is there. Probably still that same spot, like sitting underneath that little hot hovel he was there, and he's probably drinking his anger away or his fears away. But let's get into it. Our first real segment, as it is, show character of the week. This is where we talk about our favorite characters of the week, what they did, and we highlight certain members of the cast. And again, we might do more than one because it is a 3-episode arc. Matty, I'll let you lead us off.
My character of the week only appeared in 1 episode.
Oh, okay, interesting.
But he struck so much fear in my heart of an oh fuck, oh shit, oh fuck, oh shit. Awesome Krennic.
Okay, fair enough. Okay,
like the suspense. Yeah. The suspense was there throughout the 3 episodes, but when you see him at the party and he walks in the room and you know what they're trying to do, you're like, oh no, like that's the worst person to be in the room right now.
Not a bad choice. Yeah, absolutely.
And Ben Mendelsohn, like I know we say it pretty much every week at this point, but holy shit.
We are lucky to have him in his role in this cast, and he is having the time of his life. I think obviously when he did Rogue One, I think he enjoyed the role of Krennic back then. I think him getting a chance to reprise this role in such a way, I think he's just taking full advantage of it and like living in the part and really having fun with it. He's not dying at the end of this one, so we know that much for sure. Obviously,
I will say I do wish we got a little bit more of, and we might do still a little bit more between him and Luthen.
Yeah, that was nice to get them together.
But just seeing the two of them in the same room, Stellan Skarsgård and Ben Mendelsohn, I was like, oh, this is gonna be good.
Oh yeah, well, we did get something which I'm going to put a pin. I'll talk about in a little bit as a part of another segment, but we'll get there. Back on that. Good choice for character. I have a couple characters I want to highlight. I want to get one out of the way. I'm not going to say anything about it for now. I'll just, no surprise, I am in love with Genevieve O'Reilly. I've told Kim she's on notice that Genevieve O'Reilly, if she ever is made available, Mon Mothma is ever made available, then I might have to.
What about Rebecca Ferguson?
Rebecca Ferguson's always on standby as well. I mean, I'm gonna have to become some kind of multifaceted, open relationship kind of person because
you're gonna go to Mormonism.
Maybe I will. That's what's gonna have to happen. But Genevieve O'Reilly is a powerhouse, and I don't want to talk much about her because I have some things I want to say later on. But does her job well. I also want to highlight 2 other people real quickly before I get into my final character, my actual choice. I want to highlight Cassian because I have to say, like, despite
this being
his show, I feel like he is still kind of like overlooked a little bit in terms of, because I mean there's so many like powerful performances. There's so many things that sometimes his story got a little bogged down. Like last week, his story got bogged down a little bit on Yavin 4 with the knucklehead revolution there. But I want to highlight how like absolutely rock solid he has been throughout the entirety of the series, and especially even like more this season than last season, I'd say. But specifically, this arc has got even better, and he had some moments that were just top notch with Bix, with Luthen, with the crew. What a defining moment with the Gorman Front crew. Like it's amazing how far he's come. I know we've had now a 2-year jump since we saw him in season 1, but he has now become that soldier, that rebel leader that Luthen wants him to be, really honestly. even more so than Luthen getting more than he bargained for, I think, at this point. Want to throw it out there. Also, I have to throw out one of my pet faves, even though, like, only because I don't know if we're going to see him as much moving forward, but man, he chewed some scenery a little bit this week. That's Partagaz. Loved his work.
Yeah.
He is the perfect Imperial, and he's a perfect Imperial performance because he's not the evil performer. He's not like the Krennic, the Vader, the Tarkins, the ones who are like, I'm going to be the most evil person in the room and I'm going to be a badass. He's just so incredibly competent and like eloquent, and the way he just says his dialogue.
When he was like, odd how often those characteristics align or whatever, I was just like, you are just like the
prick.
You are such a petty prick, and I love it.
I'll even spoil because I have a bunch of lines of dialogue. One of my favorite lines of dialogue. Celebrate your enthusiasm.
I'm using that from now on. And now it's no longer what is it like chill out or anything? Just like
get someone over like I'm so honored to do this. It's a party. Celebrate your enthusiasm. It's so good. But the one I want to highlight for certain this week, and I hope she doesn't get overlooked. I don't think she is. I think I'm seeing most people giving her credit where credit's due. That's Clea. Clea really came to party this week. Really came to play. Literally came to the party, and she had her moments of like in-depth, like showing where she was trying to almost single-handedly support Luthen, who is starting to fall apart a little bit here and there. Like she's the one actually that's keeping this whole thing together, I feel like. And she has her little action moment, suspense moment, and then she has her fun at the end. I just think that she is putting on a hell of a performance. And I'll even like sneak in a little spoiler for like that's another one of those things I'd like to explore more of. I hope we can get like a backstory on her, more like a comic or a book. I know we're not going to get a TV show about Clea; it's not going to happen. But like we can get something more about her backstory. I think it'd be fascinating to dive deeper into. I'd love to honestly see a Luthen and Clea like novel, like pre-Andor season 1, or like right like where they were Order 66 time and like beyond that kind of thing. That's a fascinating idea to look into.
There was a bit of a criticism about Tony Gilroy that was like he doesn't know how to write women.
Oh.
Boy, did he prove that wrong this season, because
I fully agree with that.
It's the women that are holding this rebellion together. Mon Mothma, Clea, Bix, Vel and Cinta.
Yeah.
Those and are the ones. Look at it's the men that are falling apart. Perrin. Cassian, to a degree, is starting to get paranoid and fall apart. Luthen's falling apart. Sora's always been a fucking psycho, but we're going to get more into that. Like, it's the men that are really falling apart in the rebellion. And and this criticism that Tony Gilroy doesn't know how to write strong women. It's just like, what the fuck are you talking about?
What are you smoking? Absolutely, totally agree with you on that. Wonderful. The women have been the performers this season, and like this whole like Andor season 1 had similar thing. I mean, Marva was a phenomenally written character. These are all definitely proving Tony Gilroy. He knows what he's doing. That boy definitely knows what he's doing for sure. So. Those are our characters of the week. Our next segment we come into is I Spec, which is our favorite lines of dialogue. I already spoiled one, so I'm going to let you go ahead with your one of your first favorite lines of dialogue this week.
I mean, calibrate your enthusiasm was my pick.
Was it? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm giving that way.
I love how I have friends everywhere. Like, it's such a throwaway line. But then you hear Vel repeat it. And it's like,
yes.
Oh, that's a code phrase. That's like a like, hey, I'm part of the rebellion. So like they have some of their shit together. And I will say, tell your friend I'm not impressed. Because you know that like Luthen hearing that, he would have been like, whatever. Like he would have taken that to heart. I did enjoy Luthen saying like Gorman in play, and like what will happen if it burns? It'll burn bright. If it goes up in flames, it'll burn bright. And it's just like you think about the current way the world is right now. if some of the stuff that's happening to like migrants and other not less fortunate people, but like if some of the shit that was happening to them happened to people in power in the elite class, there would be fucking uproar. So a world like Gorman, where you have like these big fashion icons, like it makes sense.
Absolutely does. Absolutely does. I got a couple in there. It's funny thing. I'm gonna save one or two of them because they actually fit other categories as well. But I do have a couple of quick ones I'll throw in there. In the same vein as part of guys, which by the way, I also had how often these attributes align. I had that in my list too, so we did go tit for tat on that one. But Dedra, in that same conversation with, like, how sure? Part of guys asked her like, how sure are we about this situation? And she's like, skeptically enthusiastic.
Yeah, skeptically enthusiastic.
That's awesome.
I did like that one.
I love how much they like use all these big words so they can truly choose easier ways to say things, but they don't. They choose these flowery way to say things. It always makes me smile. And I go, God, I want to use that now too somewhere.
I am starting to notice the cracks in Dedra as well, because there was that moment where Cyril said about this being the best day of his life, and she was just like, I'm glad to see you're happy. I'm just like, I don't know if that's like, if she's like taking that to heart.
I can't tell. If she's.
I think she does care for him. I think there is a genuine, as fucked up as it is, I think there is a genuine relationship. I think they would both like kill each other to get to the position they wanted to be in. But I do think that they do care for each other.
I will say it's interesting to note that I don't necessarily disagree with you, but I think that it could go either way. There's definitely a side of her that they're definitely, I mean, he definitely loves her. Or I shouldn't say love is a bad word.
I think he definitely,
he's got those, whatever that is, he is definitely a puppy dog for her. I can't tell completely how much she's using her or not. We'll have to find out. I'm sure we will find out eventually.
I mean, she was, let's face it, the turn out the lights, there's only one thing that would have happened.
Well, obviously, but is that because she cares, or is that because that's part of the weaponry she's using?
She doesn't really strike me as a femme fatale kind of sort.
Oh, I think she would use anything she needs to use to get ahead. I think if she's like you're my tool. I know what you want from me. I'm gonna do this.
Oh shit, he's her tool, all right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I could be wrong too, but I totally could see that being in her wheelhouse, especially like maybe not like all the time, but with specifically this character. She knows the relationship and she knows what she's gonna get out of it.
And then how good would it be if it was the opposite? If they play the old switcheroo?
Yeah, that would be great. That could be
like good. He sells her out.
And I could see that happening. I could see that happening. That's something that's going to go into the force vision aspect, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but that's something that is definitely in play. But to go back to the rest of the lines of dialogue before we move on, I will say a couple of ones I did want to throw in there. Krennic, I'm sorry, not Krennic, Luthen. We should have killed Krennic while we were in there. What a great release after such a tragedy that we're going to get to talking about later on, after the tragedy of Cinta and Vel and everything else, and this like big explosive like thing going on. All of a sudden they have like this big like this release of tension with Clea and Luthen walking out laughing about how they got the job done, they did what they need to do, but we just killed Krennic while we were in there.
I just remember this one is like my favorite one of all three, and it's a Mon Mothma line to Krennic. Okay. She says, "How pleasant to see you free of the witness stand."
That's in mine too. I was actually going to say it for later on. That's okay. I feel like that too.
It's just like what?
I love that.
He's such a. It just makes you think that he's like he's like the colonel from from A Few Good Men. Just like always on trial, always on the stand.
I love it. You know what? I'm going to say it here. I'm going to use this one here and expand on it. So I noticed that I sent you some screenshots of something, and you never responded. And I know why you didn't respond, because you don't like it. And I'm sorry. It's just it's happening. It is happening. And I'm going to use a line of dialogue from the man himself, Perrin. It's tough squeezing a whole year of insincerity to 3 nights. It is showcasing growth from him.
It's not though. It's not though.
It is. He loved this stuff before. Now he's feeling he's seeing the cracks.
He still loves it now.
But he's seeing the cracks. He's seeing the cracks of it. He's not as before. He'd been thrilled to have 80 parties in a night. He would have loved the ever loving shit of it. Now he's kind of like, and to quote, Mon Mothma's hedonistic husband Perrin seemed a bit more rounded out this season. I felt some sympathy for his point of view this time. Tony Gilroy, totally. It peeved me the way that people in the chat room just hated him and talked about how horrible he was. And I thought that's not what I envisioned. And I told actor Alistair McKenzie, who plays Perrin, that we would do something that's complicated. Perrin is clearly no saint and is certainly no rebel. I think I actually used those exact words last week before I read this article. But it's a very legitimate point of view and one I think the show benefits from having. Why shouldn't somebody represent hedonism? Why shouldn't somebody represent pleasure? Why shouldn't represent living in the moment? What the fuck is wrong with everyone else who's running around doing all this other stuff? So getting to do the wedding speech for him, we really worked hard on that. We really wanted to be special. I'm very happy he's in there. Mm-hmm. And my guess is
I've read Tony's quote about this. I get it, but boo-hoo. Your big problem is, it's the dinners. It's all the dinner.
It's brother, how you get
how many starving people are in the galaxy. And
yeah, but you need these people to be on your side. You need that because if the starving people are fighting, nothing happens, nothing changes. It's just what you mentioned. You mentioned it specifically on Gorman. All of a sudden, things change a little bit because why? It's the richer people getting to it's the more affluent people who weren't giving a fuck before. Those are the ones that you got to turn on your side. Guess what?
Fuck.
But he's showing he's not entirely on board as much.
Oh, he's not entirely on board with how much he has to party.
Yes, that's better than having him all on board with the Imperials. He's either 100% in, or all of a sudden he's like, "Well, I'm seeing there's actually some shit going on. I'm going to start supporting Mon a little bit more." And I'm going to like. I'm just saying again, not a rebel. He's never going to be a rebel. He's never be safe. But that's the kind of thing you need to see happen in order for rebellion to work. You need to hit those people up there to make them think twice about things and to be a little bit more open. I think this is a wonderful character to the show, and I think Perrin is someone that is important.
I didn't think I'd ever be on a show with a Perrin apologist.
Perrin,
you make me sick. Move on.
I love it.
Move it on.
I can't wait. And actually, I will bring it up again a little later on, but I will. All right, let's move on to our next segment. Put that in your holocron and snoke it. Explore more lore. Matty, go ahead. What do you want to explore more of this time through?
I want to know, and again, they used the first massacre, the one from Legends, the Tarkin massacre.
Brilliant, by the way.
Go more into that. I want to see that. The Tarkin killing a bunch of people to land in the square from Legends.
Right.
Them pulling that out shows me that like, oh, Tony is listening to the story group and to Pablo. Okay. Go more into that.
That was brilliant. That was absolutely brilliant. Here we are. We all knew the Gorn Massacre is coming. We all know it's happening this season.
Or is that the one that they're going to use?
No. This is something happening in this next week. Next week's arc is the Gorn Massacre. Because we know that for sure because we know it's coming because in Rebels, Mon Mothma used the Gorn Massacre as the reason to get out. If it happened 18 years ago, that's not the reason why she's leaving the Senate. So definitely a more current Gorn Massacre that she's using to leave the Senate and start the rebellion.
Oh. If she leaves the Senate after 18 years of something happening, it would be kind of like I mean, Tony Gilroy did say we'd see the characters in a different light.
I'm sorry, Tony Gilroy's a much better screenwriter than that. I gotta say,
maybe that's the ruse. Maybe we're like after 18 years, you finally did something.
You don't buy this. You don't buy that, do you?
I kind of want it to happen.
You're a devil's advocate sometimes. Sometimes you frustrate me that way. I love it. I love it. I'm like,
here's the thing. I kind of want it to happen because it would show that it was like, okay, you spent 18 years umming and ahhing about this rebellion, and you finally got up your ass and did something about it.
I guess it wouldn't make sense. Cool. But it wouldn't make sense though, in terms of like she's already talking about the Gorn people in the Senate at this point, saying also like if she would have had her like they say she all of a sudden snapped about an 18-year incident after she's been spending the last couple of years saying, well, we're trying to fight for the Gorman people, blah, blah, blah. Like now, all of a sudden it's like, no,
what I'm saying is I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be mad at it.
I would be mad. I would be mad. I'll be honest, 100% mad, because it would just be piss poor writing as far as I'm concerned. I mean, no offense, but that's my own take on that. I would not like that.
You're looking forward to watching the Gorman people get slaughtered. You are no better than the people in the BFI IMAX that cheered when Anakin's lightsaber ignited in front of a small child.
Woohoo! Hey, no better than you cheering on if Perrin Faith got killed.
Perrin's a rat bastard.
The Gormans are the same. He's a Gorman.
Are they innocent people?
Are they?
Yes.
They're the affluent members of society. Affluent members of society, just like Perrin is.
That are subject to an imperial invasion and blockade.
If Perrin lived on Gorman, he would be the same. He would be in with the Gormans. He just happens to live on Coruscant, where it's
the Gormans aren't best friends with Sly Moore.
That's because if Sly Moore was on Coruscant, if they were on Coruscant, they would be.
How do you know?
Because it's the same type. It's the same type of situation.
I don't think the French Foreign Legion that's on Gorman would play nicely with Massamita.
I don't know about that. We're gonna get Roy on over Perrin. That's the funniest thing I have to say about that. No, I think it's actually fascinating though. Going back to it now, I think it's what a way, because we know the Gore Master's coming. We know that it's happening this season. They actually said it this season. They've actually said it out loud that this is happening, and that it's But we also knew that it had happened in Legends, and we knew that in Legends it was Tarkin. So to make that something that already happened, what a great way to say, oh, we are honoring this Legends piece of storytelling. We're just kind of moving a little bit to the side and having our own. So we don't necessarily know what's going to happen. That makes it, because like we already knew. Okay, so if you read Legends at all, or you knew about Legends, we knew that Tarkin landed his ship on some protesters. So therefore, we're looking forward to Tarkin landing some ships on protesters, or like I had said, maybe they'll give it to Krennic because we're kind of like, sugarcoating, or not sugarcoating these, but kind of shifting things around a little bit timeline wise, whatever makes sense. Krennic's in the show. So that's what I thought we're going to have. But I was under the assumption, I made an ass out of you and me, that we were going to see something similar. Krennic was going to land a ship on somebody. That's going to happen. Now, we've said that already happened 18 years ago. So we have no idea what this Gore Massacre is now. We just know that it leads to something big, and that something big is going to happen. So now, all of a sudden, that's like, what an exciting piece of, like, in a prequel where we know some things that are going to happen. Like, we obviously know Cassian Andor is making it out of it. We obviously know K2SO is going to make it out of it. We obviously know, like, Mon Mothma, Bail Organa, and that's about it, I think.
At this point, I have no idea who's making out of this.
Well, you know Cassian Andor is making it out.
We know Cassian and K2 are going to make out.
K2, you know Krennic, and you know Mon Mothma and Bail Organa are. Everyone who's been
and Melshi. No, like Melshi's meant to appear.
And Saw. Yep. There you go. Absolutely. Everybody else is open game.
Everyone else, yeah. At this point, I'm just like, who the fuck else is going to go?
100%. So with that in mind,
the person who I thought was going to go wasn't the one that went.
Okay. Oh, okay. We'll talk about that soon, I guess. But that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't, in something we already know some of the stakes there, to have something like this where we have no idea how it goes down, it's going to make for better storytelling for us as far as anticipatory storytelling for us. So I love that idea. So I would like to know more about the original one as well. I mean, I don't think I don't think ever will is a strong thing, because I feel like it's one of those things that, like, well, it was already told once, now it's put on its side. I mean, we could explore it more, maybe. I mean, hell, we did get like 800 different angles of Order 66, so we could get an actual full-on shot of the Tarkin massacre. But I kind of have a feeling like after this massacre, like that's going to seem like small potatoes. And I mean, hell, actually, Tony Gilroy said something like that too. There's a quote. I can't remember. I was reading I read a bunch of Tony Gilroy articles this week, and I didn't quote all of them for the news because I kind of ran out of time to kind of curate all those news bits. But he actually there's a quote about how that was like a minor incident compared to like what was coming, pretty much. So it's like, oh, okay, so I might have to like not worry about that one anymore. But I do like the idea. I think we should go back and have it could be a lot of cool things to see if someone else was involved that we don't know about potentially. But all right, what else happened for me to explore more lore? Cinta. What happened between seasons with Cinta? And was your pitched theory potentially true? Did Tay cause the accident? Is Tay out there somewhere still potentially? I don't know.
Somehow Tay returned.
I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, but I remember you pitched that last week that, like, we didn't see a body, and I'm like, I poo-pooed it. But I'm like, well, something happened. She got hurt, and she had to recover. So I don't know.
I think he's probably dead, but
yeah, he probably is.
He like saw what was going to happen and like maybe like tried to wrestle the controls away, or maybe Cinta just crashed the car and like got hurt from it.
Could be. But I would be interested to know, because obviously it changed her completely from like at the beginning of the season. I was like, oh, she's going to join the partisans by the end, because that's like how she's going. But now she's not. Obviously, definitely now she's not. But at this point, even when we see her, she like was a changed woman and like was far more into Vel and that relationship, rather than being all in on like the rebellion or nothing kind of thing. So I like to see what happened in her, and maybe that's ripe for a storytelling. I think that's ripe for a novel. Well, not a novel. Well, it could be a novel, but like I would be surprised. Like, it's kind of funny. Like, some of these things we talk about like aren't good enough for like entire novels, but I would be so open for like a novelization of the Missing Years, where we follow all the characters between arcs. So we're gonna see all these things that like I don't want it now for the show, because I kind of like how the show is depicting itself and how it's unfolding to us. But then after it's all done, going through and kind of like Clone Warsing it and get us that in between stuff that kind of will lay out even further depth and get us more about that story. I think that'd be kind of cool. What do you think about that? Would you like to see that, something like that, like an in between trilogy of novels or so?
No, I think there's only so much that I think you can pack into a novel. I think maybe like a comic.
Okay.
Maybe like
I would agree with that.
Run.
I would definitely agree with that as far as that goes. But my only idea why I would be able to pitch it as a novel is it is every character. Like, we get Bixen, Cass, Cinta, and to get the whole like basically this is what all the characters were doing, and like basically it's like it's almost like getting 4 more arcs or 3 more arcs of Andor.
You mean like the other 3 seasons of this we were supposed to get?
Exactly, that kind of thing, in like in novelization form. That could work.
We're kind of getting it with the books at the minute, like Mask of Fear and all that stuff. I know that is set before Mask of Fear is before.
Yeah.
Andor.
Figure out where the other ones take place. Do we know when they're taking place? The next ones?
Nope.
I know it's like later on in the timeline, but I don't know how far it's supposed to be. I'm assuming the third one's going to be somewhere in this vicinity of this show. The show just jumps 5 years and everything else. I'm going to assume it's like during that at some point. But again, assuming, I know that. So,
also, I want to know more about the what's the dude's name? The art direct, the main guy on the council for the Gorman Front.
Oh,
he's in Inglourious Bastards. He plays one of the SS.
Carol Rylance, played by.
Is it Rylance? Is it House of Rylance?
I think it's House of Rylance. Yeah, he's a leader of them. So Rylance.
Yeah, I want to know more about him.
Yeah,
he seems like an interesting cat.
I agree. Oh, okay. Never mind. I was looking at Wikipedia real quick, and I was like, he's mentioned in Narkina 5? And no, the Gorman Front was mentioned in Narkina 5. That's why I was like, oh, what the heck? I don't have the actor who plays him, unfortunately, in here. I have the picture of him, but it doesn't have his name on Wikipedia. Oh, well.
He is in Inglourious Bastards, isn't he? You keep going. I'll look him up.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just right on the tip of my tongue. I'm like, I guess I know this guy's name, and I can't. It's annoying the hell out of me.
Won last general standing.
Richard Sammel. That's
Richard Sammel. Okay.
That's what it is.
Yeah. I want to know more about him. And can we get Christoph Waltz in this show, please?
That'd be awesome. Yeah, a little scene on like go back to Mina Rao, and then the hovel there, like he's just in there. Can I have some blue milk? He's so good, so good. And I'm going to bring it up again. You're going to hate me for it, but I want to know. I kind of am curious, because I know we already know Tony Gilroy said, obviously, and I threw that to you. But I am curious to see what did change, because obviously Perrin and Mon Mothma are far better off now than they were. She really didn't like they were really warring with each other a lot during the first season, and it was a little bit less during the wedding arc. And this, even though like it feels like he is a little more supportive, and she's a little less antagonistic towards him. So I'm kind of curious. I would like to see what happened, like what made Perrin soften, besides the fact that Tony Gilroy wanted to see him soften for the show. Like, is there something that went down? Did he actually see something that kind of like, did he actually awaken more than we thought? No, he didn't become a rebel. No, he's not going to go protest or anything else. But does he have thoughts that are different? Does he become that kind of passive supporter for Mon, at least for Mon? And maybe it's about his kids. I don't know. I'd like to see more. I don't know how.
Just got tired of partying a lot. It happens, dude. By the end of Celebration, I was cooked. And I am the resident party guy of 99% of groups I find myself in. By the end of Celebration, I was cooked. I couldn't do no more.
I don't think that's
Perrin's probably I hate to compare myself to Perrin, but Perrin
that's
probably just Perrin saw the list of all the dinners and parties he went to, and he thought, "Fucking hell, I'm gonna be feeling this."
I guess I'll just call you Matty Perrin.
All it was.
I'll just call you Matty Perrin from now on.
I will kill you.
I actually believe that, so I won't. I'd be scared. I am going to see you in a couple years, so I don't want to like that to be hard.
And I do hold on to grudges.
I know you do. I do. I know you do. Yeah, those are my big three to kind of see what happened between those. My exploring more lore there. A lot of different. There's even more I probably could get into. I mean, the Gorton Front was definitely interesting to see how that developed. Does that develop after the Tarkin massacre? Is that what spurred on the Tarkin, like the Gorton Front? That's interesting to see. I also, I didn't mention. I think about too. I kind of want to know. We don't need to, and this is where sometimes when you explore more lore, you always announce this, but we always talk about what we want to see more of. Sometimes it's better not to see it. Sometimes not seeing it actually is more effective. But I can't help be curious about it. The whole thing that happened between Bix and Cassian and the soldier, in between that kind of thing. What was that all about? What kind of mission was that? It might be better to leave it, but I can't say I'm not intrigued and curious to know more. If there was like a comic or something that I definitely check it out and see what's going on with that. So, all right, let's move on to our next subject. Seen a lot of action. Action beats, and I'm going to go first in this one, if you don't mind. And my action beat is a non-generic action. It is a non-typical action beat. And somebody, you might say this is not an action beat, but to me, it was the best action we've gotten all season. Mothma versus Krennic.
I would say that's verbal action.
That was verbal action to a T. I mean, I'm going to say, quite frankly, the episode's arced up, and episode 6, the third episode of the arc, was my favorite by far. It's a spoiler alert. We're going to read it later on. But that whole episode was just a masterclass of tension. And putting Mothma up against Krennic in that way was like the highlight of it. You have a Luthen there. You have this situation with Clea there and everything else. But I can't help but watch her and Krennic just verbally dueling politically over. I think it just basically was like a political debate disguised as a conversation over art. And it started with that line, as I mentioned earlier. That line started out right away. What a pleasure seeing you out of the witness stand. And they kind of kept going back and forth. I loved watching like Luthen playing his role, Perrin trying to get along, everything laughing at Krennic's things, the conversation. Mon Mothma doesn't laugh once. I can finally see her starting to because she's been the whole time trying to hide it, like trying to play along, trying to hide in plain sight, not stir the pot too much. Still what she's doing. We saw that earlier in this arc. We got to see her first talking to some of the senators, including the Gorman senator, and failing to get the votes that she's trying to get the act repealed, the PPRD, and she can't get it, but she's trying. She's she's not being too angry about it, and maybe what she needs to be. And then she gets there in this episode when Krennic starts talking down about stuff about are we? I wish I didn't write down every dialogue line, but every word of dialogue was actually pretty much it would have been on my favorite dialogue list. Like are we arresting criminals or are we making them? That kind of thing. But then also
that one was very topical.
Right. Yep. And the idea, and he's coming back with, oh, so rebel or terrorist? Is that what we're talking about here? You're a rebel, you're a terrorist.
Yeah, you're a rebel. Yeah, you're a rebel, my terrorist.
Terrorist kind of thing. And it just kind of, they kept upping each other's ante, and Krennic was loving it. But Mon was doing a thing. She's basically kind of putting herself out there in a scary kind of way in this empire, because that's the kind of thing too much about that. That's how you get sliced down. And I'll throw it in there again. You're sick of it. I'm sorry. I'm gonna sit out there. I love the fact that there's a couple times you watching Perrin like walks with her, and even Perrin kind of goes, "You better just like chill out a little bit there. You're gonna watch what you're doing." I was like, it's
to
like
save his own skin.
I don't think that's necessarily true. I think it's about both of them. I think he cares about her. I think he absolutely cares about her, 100%.
I'm not saying he doesn't care about her. I'm saying he cares about himself more.
Oh, maybe that could be true.
He's the one that has to cozy up to these people, not Mon Mothma.
She does have to, though, if she wants to get. That's been her MO the entire time, is that she's had to. You know what I'm saying? Like she's been trying to cozy up with them to try to get what she needs, and because if she opened rebellion, she's definitely not getting what she needs. But I like seeing Perrin being like, kind of, you know what you're saying there, kiddo. You're kind of drawing the line there. I love watching the whole thing. But that was my favorite. That was easily my favorite bit of action in the entire arc. What about you?
He's such a kiss ass. So I have two bits. The first one was I love me a Dirty Dozen style military planning scene.
Okay, fair.
The whole like where Vel and Cinta are like, only me and Vel will have blasters, no one else. You are not good at this. This is why we have been brought in, because you guys suck at this. You have to respect the chain of command. If anyone has anything, it's the thing from Kill Bill. If anyone else has anything to say, now's the fucking time.
Right.
I mean, Val didn't say those words, but
close enough.
I love me a good planning scene. Also, the end when Dr. Gorst goes out to get his, I'm guessing like Coruscant Chinese food will look like.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, he's gonna get it. Like something's gonna happen. And then you have the scene in the trailer that we saw of them blowing the building. Right. I thought it would be like him walking in, seeing the bomb, and then we get the shot of Bix and Cass outside and blowing the office up.
Not good enough.
When the doors closed and you don't see Bix until she steps out of the shadows, I was like, oh shit, she's there. And then she puts, when she goes, don't worry, it'll only feel like forever. I was like, fuck yeah, girl. Like,
I know you. I know you.
That was the thing. Like, he didn't even recognize her. So it's like, she was like, oh, I'm going to fucking kill it. She, like us here on PLD Projects, she cranked everything all the way up to 11.
That's right, baby. Yeah, that was that line.
Lasted that Creed full volume.
Okay. You got to.
And then the walk away and the blow in there.
That was a great action.
I love a walk away from an explode. Robert Rodriguez is the master. Like, he created the walk away from the explosion, and now it's like one of the best action tropes ever.
Cool people don't look back at explosions, or they don't react to explosions. Perfect. I love that too. I love the line dialogue where it says, because this whole arc has been about the trauma of Bix and how she's trying to regain some kind of autonomy with it. She's struggled with it. She obviously, I even liked the drug angle. It was like, that's overdone a bit sometimes, but this was done subtly and well. It wasn't like we saw her like a typical trope of this is like, this would be the entire season where she would have gone down
an addict and
they have to, it would have been the whole thing. It's like, we've seen it before, and this is kind of like she's just turning to drugs to numb her, but they get her out of it, and they actually, so just like a little highlight of what was going on with it.
Shout out to Lonnie for getting them the information about Dr. Ghost's plan, like, because his program was gonna get expanded, but now he's been taken off the board.
Yep. Shout out to Lonnie. Lonnie, who is flirting with everybody this episode, even his co-workers there. No, but I like seeing Bix like really regain her autonomy and Luthen's interactions with her, because Luthen kind of shows humanity with her a little bit. I mean, you could tell she doesn't. You could say he doesn't, because he's kind of just poking at her, but he does have empathy. Like when he sees, because he goes there against Cassian's knowledge when Cassian's gone, to try to like kind of see where she's at. And he would totally use her if she was up to it. When he sees how struggling she is, he turns to it. And he's kind of play it off a little bit, and he lets it go, and that's it. And I mean, he got pissed at Cassian when Cassian found out and tried to confront him stupidly. That was a bad move by Cassian part.
I think it was a case of like, oh, you're fucking strung out. I can't use you, right? Yeah. Let me help you get better, and then when I need you, I'll call you.
Yeah, that could absolutely be. I do think there's definitely some bit of caring there as well. I do think there is some like he has empathy. It's not entirely 100% about using her. He would use her to know. I mean, definitively would use her, no doubt, 100%. But I do think he does care enough about her to like want her to get better.
I think he wants her and Cassian separate, though.
I think so too. Oh,
he wants Cassian to be him.
Right, 100%. So yeah, that was another definitely good moment for me. Although it's kind of funny, I want to talk to you real quick about this. There was some shit. I read some jibber jabber, some different reviews about things, and some some complaints or whatever that they were out there. Some people thought that the Bix Gorse thing was too rushed. Like there was like a not enough build up to it, and then kind of like the ending was a little out of nowhere comparatively, and like they felt like they spent too much time with one thing and not enough with that. What do you think about that?
What are they talking about? They were building out the entire episode.
I kind of felt that way too. I kind of felt like we didn't have specifics on it. Like we didn't need to get the planning of the specific mission. We knew that she needed autonomy. We saw she was doing something, and then something was going down at the end. I think that's all we needed. I think in fact it helped to have it that way because then the shock of it. I think not the shock of it, but it was kind of like this is what we're doing. Helped the end of the episode for me a little bit.
I kind of saw it was coming because they talked about it in the ISB meeting.
Mm-hmm.
We saw Lonnie go off to feed information to Luthen.
Right.
And then at the end, Luthen sends up the cast signal.
Yeah.
And Bix is like, whatever mission it is, I'm coming with you.
Right.
And to at that point, I was like, oh, they're going after Gorst.
Right.
Because that'd be the only mission that Luthen would let her go along.
Fair enough.
Because the whole episode, they're talking about you've got to give her something to do. You've got to give her a mission. You've got to give her something to look.
Yeah.
Like to strive toward.
Yeah.
So to me, it was kind of like they're going after Gorst.
Yeah, I guess we just it's definitely in juxtaposition.
I think it was just I think it was pretty subtle, and I think because of everything that everyone was so focused, it's like Nemec, right? They gives you the 10 things, and you're focusing on the one.
Right.
Because they gave us Gorman, everyone was focusing on when's the massacre going to come. Is this the scene that sets off the Gorman massacre? And we don't notice the little subplot that's being fed through.
I think it's the juxtaposition of like we have a mission and we have like you mentioned the Dirty Dozen kind of heist. We got all this prep going on. This is the big long thing we're struggling with. Blah, blah, blah. That's the focus. Doing it this way, we get the opposite of just kind of like we get the bare minimum of what's going on. You said like they sprinkle some things, but it's not like that's what they're doing. We never got the word. Like we saw there's a mission. And you assumed it was Gorst, and it's a good assumption to make. But it could have been something else. We didn't know, and we just all of a sudden instead of going and meeting Luthen, going, okay, we got Gorst here, and you're going to go blow him up, and we're going to do this and anything, and watching it unfold, watching her break into the Imperial somehow into the stronghold, and setting up. Also, it was kind of like we just skipped to the end of it. So I guess that's the rushed angle of it. I don't think it's rushed at all. I think it's a choice, and I think it worked well for it myself. I don't know, it's personal thought on that, but. Okay. Anything else action-wise that you wanted to discuss at all? There wasn't a whole lot of big, Star Wars pew action. I think that's next week.
I mean, the actual heist itself was pretty cool. RIP Cinta.
I want to say quickly, I love the shot of the case going down the chute. Like we followed the drone shot going down. That was cool. So I love that as well.
I did have a oh fuck moment when I heard the blaster go off because Vel was the one walking away, and I thought we were going to get a case of Vel gets shot, and they trace her body back to Mon Mothma.
Oh, interesting.
So they would be like, "Why is your cousin's dead body with these rebels?"
On Gorman, right?
Gorman.
Yeah,
and that would be what causes her. That would be like the final straw for her to go. You killed my cousin, because she has the moment. And it was mostly the moment that she has with Luthen when she goes, "Why haven't I heard from my cousin?"
Yeah.
After hearing that and like seeing that mission play out, I was like, "Oh fuck, Val's done. Like we're about to lose Val."
That's a good point. They did set it up that way. Maybe that's why they didn't do it that way. Kind of. Like,
I think so. I think they wanted us to think that and then pull the switcheroo.
Yeah. I will say I want to comment on something that I've read, and like again, I want to comment on it very carefully. I'll throw it out there. There was some complaints or criticism, I guess the better word for it, criticism, how this enveloped the bury the gays trope that's out there. Obviously, bury the gays tropes is that basically you show characters becoming gay, or you show them explicitly having a romance or something more than usual, and then you kill them off. And I know I am a cisgender white male, so I can have an opinion on it. I think I can have an opinion on anything. But I know your opinion on my opinion might not have as much weight as others in the community. I completely understand that, but it's not going to stop me from having my opinion on it. I will say that I understand the trope is problematic, and I can empathize with some people who were hurt by it or thought that this was a extension of it. I don't think this is a great example of bury the gays for a couple of reasons. Only because in Star Wars we haven't had very many like on-screen we had that full-on kiss scene with them. We're like, yes, they're finally together. She's loving everything else. We had, I mean, not too long ago, 2019, like there was a kiss in like Rise of Skywalker that was kind of like in the background, and that was a big thing. And they cut it out of China and everything else. This is like they full on said, here you go, we're having this, we're point blank. And if this was any other kind of show, I might see more into that. But I feel like you're looking at the show where everybody's dying. Like everybody, it's like we're losing everybody. I don't think this like it's not like we're losing specifically Cinta or Vel, or it's like we're losing Brasso, we're losing Cinta this week. We're losing a lot more. I think Bix is going before the end of the show. I think every arc is going to lose some people. So with that in mind, I don't know if this is as great of an example of that, or as much like I could see absolutely the criticism could be made, and I understand that criticism, and I've seen it in other places, and it's absolutely been true. And again, I fully acknowledge my opinion means very little when it comes to this particular thing, because I don't have any real skin in the game, as it were, outside of being an ally. But I don't know, what do you have? Do you have any thoughts on that? And where
I honestly did, and call it ignorance for being a straight white. I didn't, and this is not me pulling the I don't see color, I don't see gender thing. Like, to me, it was just a tragedy of a couple that finally embraced that connection. Like Joseph Scrimshaw talked about it on their review of the last 3 episodes incredibly. Like, this is a show about that connection and that closeness, that intimacy, but not being able to have it because there's just so much going on in this time of war that it's impossible to have. And it should be any chance you get to have that connection with someone should be cherished. To me, all I was thinking of was, yes, they finally have that moment, and then like that, it's taken away.
Right.
Like the kill the gays. Yes, it's a trope. Yes, it's a problem. People do use it, but we also you need to see this for what it is. I said this last week. This show is a Shakespearean tragedy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
We're gonna lose a lot of people.
Right.
So I'll be honest. Maybe that's on me for not seeing that. Maybe that's on me for not looking deeper into that. If that is the way that some people feel, they are perfectly valid to feel that way.
Absolutely. That's what I said. The same thing. I did not notice it either. I should say that. I only noticed it afterwards, and I heard some criticism about it. I went, and it made me think about it. I try to think about well, let me have my thoughts on it. And
it's definitely there. It's definitely, I could completely see why someone who is gay or bi or anyone in the LGBTQ community could feel that way. And we're finally getting this gay couple on screen, and just like that, in the span of half an episode, they're gone.
Absolutely.
I could completely understand that,
especially after just confirming, because we didn't. I kind of had it last season.
In season 1,
right? No, it was confirmed, but it wasn't like we didn't have a scene like that.
They didn't even hold hands.
Right. It was kind of like we are not just alluding to it. We are showing you, yes, this is happening. This is in place. And I was like, yeah, no, I again agree with that as well. I mean, some other less the criticism, which is less Bury the gays, but also more like, well, it's that normal writing trope, which some people are sick of, and like that you show two people saying that they're in love with each other finally, and that means one person's gonna die. like it's kind of like that is a trope that also does happen as well. And I can understand.
I mean, until we knew what happened in Empire Strikes Back, I Love You, I Know could have very well been that trope.
That's true.
If Han didn't survive that, I mean, God knows Harrison Ford tried.
All right. Let's see. Anything else good? Oh, you know what? Okay, let's move on then to our next segment. Then Laugh It Up, Fuzzball, our comic moment of the week. What was your comic moment of the week?
There weren't many.
No,
I'll give you that. There weren't many, but Cyril did make me laugh with his whole act when he was like saying, "I'm gonna call the head office," basically pulling like a space Karen.
Right.
Like his fake outrage.
Right. Yeah.
Of that he was, being listened because he knew that they were listening, and obviously the Gorman Foreign Legion had no idea.
Right.
And I will say that's another thing. The accents had me kerfuffling. They had me giggling. It was like a cross between like French and German. Like some parts were like, "Oh, je suis good," and then you had one guy that was like 9.
I did love the dialogue. I read some people who linguistic people who were impressed with how
I genuinely thought it was French at one point.
I kind of thought it was too, because I'm not a linguist. I have no idea, but they did a good job making it sound
I held
real.
Google Translate up to my TV. It's not French, but it sounded French to my ears.
It does. I mean, it's definitely based on French. That's definitely the idea of it.
The
whole thing is French interview or thing. So I get, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. My favorite bit, we've actually kind of already mentioned it, but I'll mention it again. It was that line, I said this was the greatest day of my life. Does it spoil everything? Dude, you're so pathetic. Dude. You are so pathetic. And I laughed my ass off at it. I couldn't help it. I can't help it.
And to say that in front of like your girl as well.
Who's like,
that would be
like, you're pathetic also. I mean, she had the whole like, "Oh, I'm glad to see you happy," but that's more of like you pathetic tool.
I also think it was kind of like a little bit because like the way her like face and her body sunk, I feel like it was kind of like oh, not me. Oh, okay.
Really? I think it's more just like that was the greatest day of your life.
Oh,
really,
dude?
Okay.
Edie Khan continues to be my favorite part of this show.
Yes.
The way
spider bit, oh good.
The spider bit, the call, like his call to her at the start, and she's just like berating him, like, you had everything here. You finally had a woman. You're in a relationship with a woman that actually meant something, like made you want to be something with yourself. And then he just looks away and he just like turns it off. I was just like,
so funny.
And then the Gorman front, even the Gorman front are like, the mother is terrifying.
Yeah. That was actually very funny. The Gorman front's reaction to the mom, like, oh, that's rough. It did actually lead me. That's why when I was like, oh, so they're broken up now. Interesting. I was like, okay, that's interesting to see what's happening there. That was one of the things I mentioned before. Cyril had this moment where like Tony Gilroy did a great job of making me consider, like, does he almost join the rebellion not because of the evil of the Empire, but because he's like so easily manipulated, and like because the Gorman Front's like, do you want to help the
Empire?
Because
Dedra broke up with him, he joins the rebellion.
Oh, Dedra breaks up with him, and like the whole thing is about like he sees what the Empire is doing is wrong, or a little bit the oversight and how they fuck up his office and all that kind of stuff. Like the Gorman Front people, he say like, help us help the Empire, the actual Empire. I can see him like being like, I have to save the Empire from the ISB, like the Empire and the Emperor. They're doing the right thing, but now they're because they're screwing with me now. It's like the Perrin situation in a way, to a degree. It's like they're screwing with me now. So like I'm going to join not the rebellion. I'm not going to rebel. I don't want to like overthrow the Empire, but somebody needs to keep these guys in check, and I'm the guy to do it, kind of thing. I thought that might be we were going down. Like he'd become part of the rebellion and not even realize he was like part of the rebellion, kind of thing. I can so see that because Cyril was very much a pathetic character in every way, shape, or form. But that made me laugh a little bit too. I'm like, that would be very funny if all of a sudden like Cyril ends up in Yavin 4, like I'm going, what the hell did I just get involved with? What am I?
Cyril and Dewey and Freedy.
Maybe Cyril ends up in Alderaan. That's his mission. He goes to Alderaan and talk to, like that's part of his mission somehow, and he has to be in Alderaan when it blows. You see him like look at the side going.
One bit that had me nervous laughing was the fact that Tutu shot that guy in the face and then just held up a piece of paper from his pocket, and Saw was like, traitor, this guy's been like, he's been listening in for the Empire the whole time. And we're like, was he really? Yeah. Or did you just get paranoid because he was asking a few too many questions and you decided to 86 the dude? And I also kind of, anytime I see Saw, I kind of like nervous laugh, because when he starts like inhaling the gas and he was just like, it loves me, it's my sister. I'm like, you're fucking cuckoo.
We haven't, you know what? I will say that also, yeah, that as far as humorous things go for me, I'll put this here. I was going to mention it in like my weekly cleanup, but this is actually a funny moment to me too. Saw the huffing maniac there, huffing the Rhodian gas or whatever, like
huffing jet fuel.
All I can think about in my head is like, we are totally screwing with the space-time continuum about like assumptions and predictions and stuff. The whole time we saw from Clone Wars, we saw in Rogue One. He's a broken man. He's has the asthma machine thing. He's got the legs. And we're like, wow, what battle did he get this from? Nope. He got it from huffing jet fuel.
He got it from huffing fumes.
That's what it is. Oh my God. You think I'm crazy? Yeah, I think you're that shit, man.
Yeah, you are fucking that shit, dude.
So fucking funny. So I'll throw that in there as a human bit too.
It makes text a lot. Like I know we got to hurry along, but like it makes text loss like that much more painful, because it's like, you went out because of this fucking guy,
right? Yeah, I mean, he is very important to the rebellion. Absolutely, he does a lot of things that are important to the rebellion. But God, it's just kind of amazing to me how this is all going down. And
revolution is not for the sane. Yeah, you're fucking right.
Absolutely. And what an interesting way to take it. What a very interesting way to take it. So good choice by Tony Gilroy there for sure. For me anyway. All right. Anything else about action wise? Our funny moments. Lights Out was a pretty funny moment still. I'll say that. I just got a humor about that.
Wow.
Luthen and Cleia's moment was pretty funny. Like I said, we already mentioned that coming out of the party. Less funny and more like a release of tension, but sometimes you release tension by laughing. And
even the music kind of like crescendo up to like it was like more in a major key.
That's the spirit. Before we finish up with the ratings and everything else, one last thing I do want to discuss real quick. What did you think about the recast? We did have the recast. We didn't mention it at all.
Bro, it's Benjamin Bratt. Like, cool. I mean,
a lot of people had problems with it, and in general, recast that's always been a big thing in Star Wars. But I think if Tony Gilroy said basically that it was a scheduling thing, and I buy. I don't think he had any reason to lie. I don't think Jimmy Smith didn't want to come back. Obviously, he came back for Obi-Wan. I think he would have come back. Obviously, to me, he's got a big part to play in this role, because I don't think that's the only time we're seeing. If that was the only time we were seeing him, they just would have not had the character in. And in fact, actually, we know that because there was a quote during a recent Tony Gilroy mentioned the recast. And he said, first of all, so it was Kathleen Kennedy's idea to recast with Benjamin Bratt. Like that was Benjamin Bratt was her choice. Good choice. Because like I say, if you got to recast Jimmy Smith, I don't know if there's a better choice.
Sounded like Jimmy Smith. Like before you see him on camera, I thought it was Jimmy Smith, and I was like, oh shit. And then I saw Benjamin Bratt on screen. I was like, oh, they did recast him.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, impressive. But that's the one that's good for me. I think that's a good choice. And he did say, what a good idea, because you put him in this scene, this throwaway scene, just to kind of get the discourse out of the way. Like he's not in this arc. You throw him in there. Now everybody's like, oh, we talk about the Benjamin Bratt recast. Oh, this sucks. Oh, it's great, blah, blah. And then you'll move on. And then we actually have to, because he actually has a part to play later on. That's what makes sense.
It'd be hilarious if Jimmy does show up for the next time he shows up.
I would laugh at that for sure. So I think everything else we need to cover, we kind of touched base on. We touched on the Saw arc very much behind the Huff and Fumes. It was kind of tense and very cool.
There wasn't a lot of it really.
Dakar, being on Dakar, that was kind of a cool sequel trilogy shout out.
But like, we know that Saw's a fucking crazy man.
Yeah, absolutely, crazy man indeed. Yeah, I love that aspect of it. Seeing Williman in that crazy bit, that was fun. Seeing him being part of the part. I mentioned I kind of predicted he was going to be the Partisans this year because he was already kind of radicalized.
Yeah, everyone's going to be the Partisans.
I said two people. I said Williman and Cinta. That's who I said. Now I actually think Williman is going to, in a way. It kind of feels like that's where we're going. Like he's going to willingly join them now. I think. I don't know why. I just feel like he's being forced to go along with them, and he's going to stick around with them for a while until he dies. He might die next time. Who knows?
If the Huff and Fumes didn't kill him.
All right, on a scale of I think it was pretty good. I mean, Luthen had his moments where he was starting to come on a hinge a little bit. That was fun to see. I guess that's really the big and small of it. So, all right, on a scale of 1 to 11, because we always rate things out of 11, turn things up to 11 here on PLD Projects. Each episode, where are you ranking them?
I'm gonna go a 9, a 9.5, and a 10 because it kind of did drop that. It was like a different kind of tension. Like you were waiting for something to happen, and it was like, oh, but you know that like the end game isn't gonna come just yet,
right?
So I'm just kind of like the I know Mon Mothma is not gonna get caught, but at the same time, when she's like face to face with Krennic, I'm like, oh shit, like could she get caught like early?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you know from Mask of Fear, she's already been arrested once.
Yeah, and tortured. Yeah, a little bit. So interesting to say for sure. I went 9.5, 9.5, and 10.5. Near perfect. The last one was near perfect for me. One that I didn't want to throw out there, look, we didn't mention it before, and it's my own fault for I haven't said it during our talking about Cassian Andor. I didn't really talk about Cassian on Gorman too much. What an awesome experience that was. Not only hearing him about the Tarkin massacre, but seeing him be in this leadership role where he's like, yeah, you guys are not.
Oh, with the bellhop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything else. And then he like has the whole scene where he basically berates him. He's like, you can't do this. You can't, this is not good. You're not a good resistance. You're not ready for this, and trying to push them down. I think
he like leans in her ear and is like, the 2 people you've got following me, send them home.
Yeah. He's just like he's the pro now. I love that whole aspect of it. So, all right. So 9.5, 9.5, and 10.5. Let's go do our Force Visions before we wrap things up. And I'll announce it now. Actually, we're not going to do news this week now. It kind of ran out of time. But we do have a special episode this week coming out next week on Monday. We're going to have a special episode because Tales of the Underworld comes out on Sunday for May the 4th. So we're going to cover Tales of the Underworld on Monday. And then we'll go back to Andor, of course, on Thursday. I will give you our touches on the news that episode for Tales of the Underworld. I think I'll have more time to discuss things for that for sure. Yeah, including a horror tinged comic, which was announced. I can't wait to talk about that. But anyway, Force Vision. My friend, what is your Force Vision?
I'm going to pull a PLD and I'm going to throw a wild one out there.
Crackpot theory time. All right, let's do it.
Crackpot theory, tinfoil hat theory. He's coming. The big man.
Oh.
Palpatine. I think we're going to see him.
I have to put some water on, throw some water on your theory.
Twice. Krennic mentioned last week.
Tony
Gilroy just met with Palpatine yesterday.
Tony Gilroy said it. Tony Gilroy actually already said he's not putting Vader or Palpatine in because it was too heavy of a lift. He said, I have a scene where I was thinking about putting him in.
He's going to say that.
Tony's not that kind of guy. I don't think Tony's
unless he was specifically told, keep your mouth shut about.
No, he wouldn't say it then. He wouldn't say anything. He got so far detailed saying that, well, Vader's on it because Vader's a heavy lift. And I thought about Palpatine. I wrote a scene for Palpatine at one point and I realized it didn't work and I took it out. That's what
I'm saying is 2 weeks now, we've had high-ranking Imperial officers saying they have either met or are going to meet with Palpatine.
I'm just saying this is what Tony Gilroy said. If you want to believe it and throw that as your Force Vision still, I get it.
Andrew Garfield said he wasn't going to be in No Way Home.
But he was asked specifically about it. Tony Gilroy basically volunteered this one. But okay. All right.
Probably jumping out ahead of it.
All right. Well, I heard my crackpot theory. Luthen, I think we all kind of assume. Again, this assumption.
You're gonna die.
Do you assume that Luthen's gonna go by the end of the season?
Oh yeah, he's gonna die. And it's gonna be meaningless too. Like a stormtrooper's gonna shoot him in the back, and he's gonna lie dead in a ditch.
I think it's gonna be Cassian.
I like it.
And then Cassian has to take him out. I think Cassian has enough annoyance and meanness in him, but there's going to be some kind of situation where killing Luthen benefits the rebellion. So Cassian takes that next step. This is why he joins Mon Mothma's rebellion. And because Luthen is now I think Luthen becomes unhinged and whatever he's going to do is going to threaten the actual rebellion at this point. And Cassian's going to have a scene where it's like, this is what you raised me for. This is what you led me for. Is what you were teaching me to do. And now I have to take you out.
Or Luthen makes him choose between him and Bix. And he's like,
I think that's part of it. Yeah.
Wrong choice.
Yeah. I think that's part of it as well. I think that's going to be part. It's going to happen I think you're going to get something like Luthen being like, I'm so damn proud of you. Something like that. Like that's going to be the kind of situation is like, I understand. You have to do what you have to do. I get it. And like that, I think that's how we're going to get it. I think it's going to be a cool, I don't know. That's my minor crackpot theory, by the way. So, all right, Matty, where can folks find you?
You can find me on all social media at Matty Morner. You can find my band Morner on all streaming platforms. You can find me here every week for Holy Snokes and once a month for Class Action. PLD, other than your name being on the tin, where can people find you?
On the tin. Also find me on Blue Sky, right there at Paul Blue Sky. I don't go to the bad place very much anymore. But you can find me, again, all the stuff here, Holy Snokes, PJ Campbell and I doing 2 middle-aged geeks on film, covering the Superman franchise right now. We just did Superman 4. We watched it so you didn't have to. He just ranted rave about that and how bad that one is. We also are doing the MCU and our Patreon rewatch, exclusive to Patreon for now until probably December or so. Patreon.com/PLD Projects. Join us there. Have a great time there. Austin Cadell, Brendan Buckingham, a lot of good crew members there. But if you can't, I get that as well. Like, subscribe, all that stuff leads us to out of the Middle Ages and into the fight against the evil algorithm. And we will see you again next Monday. Special Holy Snokes. Maybe we'll do it live. I don't know. Maybe we will.
We can do it live.
We can do it live. Maybe we'll just do it live. We'll just see. We don't have a time yet necessarily. I don't think we actually officially said that. So we'll talk off air. But definitely Holy Snokes, Tales of the Underworld. And then we'll be back next week for the Gorwin Massacre arc of Andor is what I'm under the assumption that that's what it is. This is the big one that takes place.
Someone who had screeners told you. Just admit it.
I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything that episode 8 is supposedly a really good one.
Hey, you're not giving up your source. I respect it.
Yeah. I do have multiple ones. I've had multiple people tell me that episode 8 is their favorite. Could be their favorite episode of Star Wars of all time.
You might be misconstruing what Charlie Cox said about Daredevil.
Maybe.
Because he said episode 8 was his.
No, I've not heard that. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait to hear it.
I'm trying to cover your tracks. Let's get out of here.
Let's go. All right. We'll see you next time then on Holy Snokes. Peace out.
May the Force be with you. Always.